Welcome to our chat with mYak and Aimée of La Bien-Aimée. Welcome everybody. I think this is the first time that we do, well, first of all, it's the first time we actually chat with, with Aimée. Thank you for doing this. I know it's already afternoon in Paris, and you said it's a beautiful sunny day.
Beautiful sunny day. It's almost too sunny. It's a little warmer than I would want it to be. But thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, Paola. This is fun.
It's good. Yes, it's a nice way to catch up. We haven't seen each other in so long. And I was actually just thinking about the first time.
That I put some weights in the living room so I can do that.
Hi.
Hello, ladies. Maybe we can ask you to.
Yeah, I know.
Ask people to mute.
Yeah, let's all remain muted.
Yeah,
that sounds
so
great.
Would be good to just stay muted. But so yeah. So the last time we saw each other is in January 2020. I think you just posted about it.
I just posted a picture because I was thinking about it too today. So I was scrolling back through my photos and I was like, I think this was the last time. And I saw you at your studio.
Yeah.
In New York.
And I think that, you know, I can't believe, I mean, these 2 years have just gone by, and we all been sort of, you know, lonely in our own, in my case, in my bedroom. And of course, you have your beautiful studio there, but so many things have changed in the last 2 years, and we will talk about it as well. But yeah. I do remember that the first time I met you is when I think we saw you at the Edinburgh Festival, the Yarn Festival. I think it was our first time there. We were like, you know, still very nervous in general, but I'm always nervous. And I remember passing by your gorgeous booth. Of course, I knew exactly who you were, and you had your beautiful yarn there. And I got some yarn that I still have. I haven't used it because it's there. I almost feel like it's my lucky skein. It's one of the yellow brick that.
Oh, the yellow brick road. Oh,
yes, yellow brick road. So I still have that, and I remember meeting you there. And I think from the first time we met you, you've always been so nice and approachable. You know, no matter how big you're becoming and how international you're becoming. I think one of the beautiful things about you is that you're down to earth and so approachable. And the fact that you just said yes, let's chat, it just means a lot to us.
Well, thank you for having me. I feel the same way about you. I feel like conversation just flows really easily, and also we have so much in common. We love yarn. We love knitting, and so yeah, I just I feel really grateful to be able to have this career that I have that lets me meet people all over the world, lets me meet people like you, and sometimes we're colleagues in Europe, sometimes we're colleagues in America, depending on where you are.
Yes, exactly. That's another beautiful thing. The fact that we can move around through continents, we have and I think in a way, you were born in the US, but you have a European blood.
Well, you know what? I'm just going to say something. Technically, as of I think about 10 days ago, I got my French nationality.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I guess I do have European blood now. No, I got this email. It was such a strange thing. I opened my email and it said that I got an email saying that I could download my French birth certificate. And I was like, what is this? Via email. And I guess that's how they notify you now because of COVID. Before you'd have a ceremony, and I don't think they're doing the ceremony anymore. But yeah. I got the email saying that I could get my French birth certificate. So technically I'm European now.
Yeah. Well, I'm technically American as well. It's actually funny you mentioned that, because to become European US citizens, it takes forever, and the system here is completely different. I'm sure a lot of you guys know. And but I remember that when I went to I don't know what it's called, you have to not testify, you have to, there's a big ceremony where you have to wait, and then whatever judge comes and they call your name and they tell you that you are, that you become a US citizen, and you have to wait in line with all of these people. And I remember that I had a flight to catch that day to go back to Europe, to the festival, to the Edinburgh Festival.
Oh my gosh.
And I was in line and I did not understand it was going to take so long. I just thought I'd just go get my certificate and leave. And I was panicking. So my husband was outside, ready, basically with our luggage to go to the airport. And I was like, this is going to take so long. This is what is happening. You know, it was like hours. So I had to go. I get all my gut to try to go to the person that was in charge. And I said, I know it sounds strange, but I really need to go first because I have a flight to catch. They looked at me, it's like, you know, the American system were all very serious and all of these flags and everything else. And they said, it's not possible. I said, well, then I have to leave. And they said, well, you realize that if you leave now, you won't get your citizenship and you will have to wait for 3 years to do it. And I said, well, I don't care. I have a yarn festival to go to.
I bet they were like, what?
I was like, what? And they let me through. I was the first one in line and they called me up. I think I was like, so, and I was there with my knitting. I remember that.
Oh my goodness.
And I got it. I was like, okay.
Well, that's a fantastic memory. I will say I did print off that email that says that I'm French. So I've got it. I'm sure that there's going to be some certificate given to me. I mean, my husband says the certificate is that my birth certificate, and then I'll get my passport and my ID card. So, but yeah, I felt extremely proud. I know what that feeling is that you felt too, because I was like, this is great.
And it's nice. It's nice to cross borders with different passports. And by the way, we are minding the chat. So we have Julia and Aimée, and the other Aimée, looking at the chat. Any question that you have, we are so happy that you're joining us in this morning Zoom for the US, I know, and afternoon, late evening for some of you. So any question you have, you know, we will try to answer. We see quite a few people joining. We are recording the chat and we will upload it to our the mYak YouTube channel. But I just want to talk a little bit about you, I think. I think, you know, before, I know that we want to focus on the book, but I think your story is so incredibly interesting. I think it's, to me, when we talked about it and I read about it, but, you know, I think the interesting part to me is when you moved from the US to go to Paris and you were on a bus and you just got off a specific bus stop because you enjoyed the name and you discovered your first yarn store. I mean, that story is like mind blowing. It's like so serendipity to that happened. But let's backtrack. So you are from the US. You were born in the US. And
so I'm born in Olathe, Kansas, and I went to the University of Kansas, and I was studying French. And part of doing a French major at the University of Kansas, you have an opportunity to study abroad. And I decided to study abroad in Besançon, France, which is a city that's like next to Strasbourg. And I went as a student to study. And in that year, that was the year that solidified for me that France was someplace that I wanted to live. So I lived in Besançon as a student, came back to the University of Kansas, finished my last year of university, and went to the Office of Study Abroad. And I said to them, I was like, hey guys, I just did the exchange the year before, and you know, it would be great if you sent like maybe an older student or someone who's done this trip before, because when you're just arriving there, you don't know what's going on. It's kind of nerve-wracking. And if you don't speak the language very well, it's hard. And so they were like, so are you suggesting like that you be the liaison for these next students going abroad? And I was like, yeah. And so they loved the idea. They thought it was a great idea. And I think that they have reinstated this as an official position, but they sent me over to France to be the liaison for the next round of students who are coming from the University of Kansas. And I just helped them. I was there as a support person to help them open bank accounts, you know, get their cell phone set up if they had any questions, and I would just check in with them and things like that. And so I kind of got this job right out of college to go do that. And when I was living in Besançon, so they sent me back to the same city that I had studied abroad in. and I needed to supplement my income. And so I went to the local business school and asked if they were looking for English teachers. And so they were. And so they hired me to teach English, conversational English on a cycle of like where they would change the students every 3 weeks. And in one of the 3-week cycles, my husband was in my class. At the time, I didn't know he was my husband, but he came into the class and it was like love at first sight. Like I saw him and we knew, like he will say the same thing. Like we knew that this was it. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. You know, it's just like this moment, this feeling that you felt inside. And so that's how I met him. He was a student in my class, and I knew I had only had 1 hour with him. So I was like, how am I going to get his contact information, you know? And so I had the bright idea to get everybody's email and phone number from the class. I said to them, I said, oh, you know, I'm in charge of this group of Americans. Would you guys like to continue your English language exchange with them? And they were all like, yeah, let's do this. And so I was like, okay, I passed a piece of paper around to get all their phone numbers and emails. Then specifically got my husband Julian's phone number and email. And when I got his number, I took his number and I just like threw the paper away.
Right. Yeah, who cares about the people? Yeah.
I know, because I got my future husband's phone number.
Right.
And that's how things started. I called him that night, and
Wow.
we've been together ever since. And that was in 2000, at the end of 2000. So yeah. So when people say to me, like, how did you end up in France? It's like, I told them, I was like, I followed a boy home, you know? So I officially moved to France in May of 2003. So that's when I actually made the move. We tried a long distance relationship between Kansas and France. And after a while, it was really hard after 9/11 happened to get visas and things like that. So it was very complicated. And so he asked me if I just wanted to move to Paris to be with him. And I was like, yes, I did it. Literally within 2 weeks, I like put in my notice, quit my job, sold all my stuff, gave my car to my sister, and just like 2 suitcases came to Paris.
Wow.
And so because I had like 2 suitcases of stuff, I like really needed like to start my life again in Paris. And so this story about riding the bus and getting off at the bus stop, when I first arrived in Paris, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know Paris at all, but I did have a bus pass. You know, I had a carte orange, and so, which doesn't exist anymore. It's so funny. It's like this orange card with your picture on it. You can get on the bus and off the bus as many times as you want. And so I would get on the bus line and just ride the bus and like look at a bus stop and say like, oh, that looks like a fun bus stop. So I stopped at Sèvres-Babylone, which is near the Bon Marché. And I just jumped off and I saw the Bon Marché, and it was like the first time I had seen like a real French like department store. And I walked in, I walked the whole department store, and up at the very top they had the most beautiful mercerie, like haberdashery shop, and they had all these beautiful yarns. And that was my first image of a yarn shop in Paris, was the yarn shop that was in the Bon Marché. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. It's and of course, you know, Paris is a very romantic romantic city. Actually, I after I met my future husband here in the US, you know, I just came back. I'm going back and forth from Tibet, and I was just staying here in New York for a very short period of time. And I met with him, and I was supposed to go to Paris for meetings. We had some meetings for the foundation that I was working for in Paris. And of course, you know, I love Paris, so I was happy to go there. And I told him which hotel I was going to stay so that he could just, you know, call each other. At the time, it was, I don't think I even have a cell phone. And I remember, we didn't have a cell phone at the time. Well, at least I didn't, other people had. So I remember that I was, at the end of my meetings, it was like, you know, a long day, and I was just strolling back on my own to go back to the hotel. And I passed in front of this cafe, and with the corner of my eyes, I just looked in the window and I saw him. Oh. I was like, that's a dream. I mean, he's in New York. And he smiled. I turned around because I could not believe it. I turned around and he smiled. He came out and said, I came to Paris for the weekend to be with you. And I was like,
God.
you see, I mean, that's Paris. That's what Paris does to people. And we've been, together ever since. And that was just the beginning of our relationship as well. But the fact that he didn't know I was going to go through that street or that cafe or anything is, so Paris has been kind of, a place where we love to go back as well, when we are in,
Well, I can't wait to see you here in Paris. It would be so wonderful to meet you here.
I was dreaming about coming and see your store. I was hoping to make it before you had to close it down, and that must have been hard. So you closed it down in March 2020?
I closed it down officially in May. So like a year ago this month, like literally we're almost to the week that I announced the closure of the shop. It was a really hard decision. Obviously, I love selling yarn. It's my passion. I just love it. But keeping the brick and mortar through the pandemic was just extremely hard. Most of our clientele were international, and since people were not traveling, we just couldn't maintain that shop anymore. So we closed it. But that doesn't mean that's the end of the idea of La Bien-Aimée having a shop in Paris. So I'm not closed to the idea. It had to happen when it did, because I needed to really focus on the new studio that we moved into right at the beginning of the pandemic as well. So that was like a big endeavor that I had taken on with my husband. And we needed to rebuild our team and restructure our company. And so having the brick and mortar kind of not a part of our main attention anymore helped us to focus on maintaining the business and building the business back up again. Because it was really hard at the beginning of the pandemic, running a yarn shop. As you know, there's just so many issues with like staff and sourcing and just everything. It's just everything shut down. But happy to say that we're through it now.
Just a technical thing. I see that somebody's telling me that my camera is not, can you see me? I think so.
No, I can see you. It's your eyeline, Paola. So when you look,
because I'm looking at, okay.
Do you see it's, that's, I mean, it's fine. I just wanted you to know that it's the eyeline piece. That's all.
Okay, sorry. I'm just looking at you instead of looking at the camera, I guess. It's all new, all of these things we are adjusting.
I kind of mix it around, like I look back and forth. It's hard to look right at the camera.
Yes, but I'm looking straight at the camera. Trying to be as natural as possible. But anyway, if you have any comments or anything, just let us know. I'm happy I actually able to do it, because yesterday my internet just shut down completely and I didn't have any internet. So I was like, oh, to my husband, please fix it now. Like, exactly what you want me to do. I was like, of course somebody fix it, but he did. So that's another beauty of having to work from home, being stuck at home, all of us working in the same apartment. But anyway, and I think it's your backstory is also very, very, very interesting, and I would like to, and I know you told this story many times, but because we might have new people, is like, what made you decide to start dyeing your own yarn? I mean, it's easy to go out and buy yarn these days. So, but you started quite a few years ago. I think you are the front runner of indie dyers, really. It's, there were not as many as...
There's not as many as there was... there are today. So La Bien-Aimée is turning 7 on Friday. So this will be our 7th year of operation. And what many people don't know, before those 7 years, I was a cafe owner for 7 years. So in 2008, I opened L'Oisiveté, which was Paris's first knit cafe. Hey, Julia, pass me the little. So I've got my assistant here. Yeah. I have these beautiful little clay houses made.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna the artist name is Amanda, and I'm kind of blanking on her last name. But so my cafe, my first business was L'Oisiveté, and it looks like this. It's like this tall, so it's a building that's kind of shaped like a triangle, and it opens up this way. So like this is the sides, and this is what I first started out doing in 2008. I opened a cafe. I never worked in food service, never owned a restaurant. And I just had this wild idea to open a cafe and sell yarn inside of it. And so when I told my husband, he was like, okay. I think he thought it was a little crazy, but at the same time, he was like, if you want to do it, I know you'll be able to do it. So luckily for me, at the time, I had just had my son and I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. And knitting was something that was super important to me at the moment. And I needed to make that part of my career. So Loisivete, the cafe existed before I took it over. It was for sale. So one day I was out walking with my son, it's right next to my apartment too. And I saw that it was up for sale. And I don't know how many times I had walked by that cafe and not noticed that it was for sale, because it actually had been for sale for a long time. It wasn't until that moment when I decided I was like, I want to make a knit cafe, that I actually saw the sign that it was for sale. I came home and told my husband, and we called immediately, and the people who were selling were like enchanted with my idea to open like a knit cafe, take it over. And I think like within 6 months after we called them, we had possession of the cafe.
Awesome. Yeah.
We opened on April 2nd, 2008. So my son was 18 months old, not even, he was like maybe a year old when we opened. And so, yeah, so that's my first business, was owning a cafe. So I ran the cafe for 6 months with no yarn, because I just needed to make sure I could actually run a restaurant, because I had never worked in, food services. So I was like, want to make sure this is something I really want to do. And I enjoyed it. I made it my way, in my style. And then I started bringing in yarn brands from the United States that I was obsessively knitting with. So like when we would travel home to the US, I would go to local yarn shops to wherever I was visiting and fill it with like Madeline Tosh, Sweet Georgia. Let me try to think those first brands. The first brand I brought in was Lorna's Laces, and they're from Chicago and I'm from Kansas City. And I would fill my suitcase full of all this beautiful yarn and come back and be like, okay, this is what I want to sell. And I started making samples. And then I reached out to them. I said, hi, would you let me sell your yarn in my cafe? And they were all like, okay. So they took a chance on me to sell this yarn in my cafe. And so I started out as a yarn shop owner and a cafe owner, and did that for 7 years. Over those 7 years, I filled my shop with all these beautiful brands of yarns that we all know, Madeline Tosh, Sweet Georgia, Lorna's Laces, Koigu, Brooklyn Tweeds, Quince & Co. And then I started bringing in some European hand-dyed yarns as well. And then I just didn't have any more room in my cafe. My cafe was probably 40 meters squared. It was not very big. And there was just yarn like all over the walls. And I really, at that moment was when I started thinking like, I would love to make my own yarn. I've always loved color. So for me to sell yarn and pull colors down for customers was always something that I was kind of good at. I was able to help people find the colors that would work for their projects. And so then that's when I thought, I was like, maybe I could do this. Maybe I could dye some colors and make some yarn. So I didn't have room in my cafe to do that. And so walking around the neighborhood, I found an old photography studio, which was 300 meters from the tea house, that was for sale. So it was an old black and white photography studio. So it was all set up for dyeing pretty much. It had like all these sinks everywhere and water installation. And when I walked in, I go, oh my God, I think we could dye yarn in here and not have to do any like construction or preparations. And so that's how La Bien-Aimée started. And I opened the first La Bien-Aimée boutique, which was this teeny tiny little yellow shop. Like literally, if there were 3 people in the front part of the boutique, it was full. And in the backside, I think we started with 4 burners, and then we went to 6 burners. And then when we were at full capacity, we only had like 9 burners, and it was really, really hard to operate things like that. And that was in 2015. So I started La Bien-Aimée in 2015. And in 2017, we moved to a bigger shop, which was this shop, which people have come to know as our shop front, the yellow shop. The other shop had a yellow front too, but it was like literally like that big. It was like just like a little window. And so we opened what people came to know as La Bien-Aimée's brick and mortar in 2017. So yeah.
And this has really become, a mecca for a destination shop, not just a yarn shop, but a destination shop. And I think not just because of the city, but because who you are and who you're doing. And I think, and we actually have one of the questions that just came in. It was, how do you come out with, what is the inspiration behind your new colorways? Where do you find your inspiration to keep bringing in those amazing, beautiful colors?
I mean, I'm inspired by a lot of things. I want to say like maybe one of the oldest colors that I have. So here's a swatch that I've done in Corey Worsted and Boucle in Yellow Brick Road. Yellow Brick Road is an homage to my home state of Kansas, to one of my favorite movies that I watched growing up called The Wizard of Oz.
Oh yeah.
And the color yellow has a strong significance for me as well. As an Asian person, we're always taught to not wear yellow. Like yellow is a color that's not a good color for Asians. And so I always wanted to like kind of take that color back for us. And so that we have that color. Trying to think like what else I can grab around me that's like a classic color. Maybe
I have a lot of,
but like I'm inspired by like traveling. Like
right.
Honestly, the last 2 years have been super hard because I haven't been able to travel, and I get super inspired by my travels.
Yeah.
And so during times when I can't travel, I draw a lot of inspiration from pop culture. So we have 11 colors that are dedicated to the Game of Thrones, because it's like one of my favorite TV shows. I'm currently working on new colors for the Miyazaki collection. So I love this Japanese filmmaker named Miyazaki that my children grew up watching. So for me, it's super nostalgic for me. We have 2 new colors coming out for the Miyazaki collection based on my son's absolute favorite film, Ponyo. So those are just a few examples of where the inspiration comes for my colors.
Wow, that's very interesting, because we can see how you always produce new ones and you do it. It's really, it's very inspiring. And I think the inspiration is, not only you have the color inspiration, but also, I think the samples or the design, of course, like us, you work with so many wonderful and talented designers. And, but I think, I don't know, one of the things, the question that I had is, how did you adjust your knitting as well? Because we are growing up, we are becoming, we are getting older. I think we do, little by little, and our body changes. I mean, I see definitely, my body is not the same that when I was in Tibet hiking away every day. Clearly it's just a little bit more, round, and so you have to adjust your knitting as well to your own body changing and still feel good about it. How do you work on that? I mean, has it been, is that challenging for you to always, change, or for people that have to feel that they need, whatever I knit like a few years ago definitely doesn't fit me now.
Yeah,
and I have to give it to somebody else, but I still do it. And I think, that ability that you have, not just is the color, but that adjusting the way, you do more crop cardigan, I see, you do more cardigan than sweaters, or you do, how do you work with that?
I told myself, I want to say it was at the very first Edinburgh Yarn Festival that Aimée was exhibiting at. I was still very much a shawl and sock knitter. I was not knitting sweaters. And that was the first time when I went to a show and I actually saw a bunch of samples. And I was like, wow. And having knitted samples in your yarn changes everything for people when they're shopping for yarn. They need to be able to see how the fabric works and see how it looks on their body. When I did go to that show a long time ago, I unfortunately didn't find any samples that I could wear. Because at that time I was plus size, and also I was really not knitting sweaters because I thought to myself, like, oh, I'll start knitting sweaters when I lose, those 10 pounds or whatever, the story that I always tell myself. And I just decided, I was like, I'm not going to wait, because I'd already been waiting for like 15 years to do that, and so I decided to start knitting for myself. So I had a lot of failures when I started knitting sweaters. I didn't do gauge swatching. That was one of the things that I didn't do when I started knitting sweaters, which is a big no-no, because I was constantly not knitting the sweaters in the right size. And so then when I finally learned the importance of gauge swatching from watching videos and taking classes with knitwear designers. It really changed my mind on like, okay, I can make a garment that actually fits my body. So one of the things that I do when I knit for myself is I buy clothes, I buy ready to wear clothing. So whenever I buy a ready to wear piece that I absolutely love. So I have this kind of white and blue marinière over shirt that I wear a lot. I just wore it this week. And I love the way that it fits. I love the length that it is on my body. And I told myself, oh, I'm going to try to knit a sweater to this length and this width. And so I kind of recommended to my clients is like, find a top that you like that looks really good on you and take the measurements of that top, because that's the kind of ease that you probably want to find in the sweater that you're going to knit.
Yeah.
I was always super confused with picking the correct number of ease, because some designers say like 10 to 15, but there's a big difference when you're my size between adding 10 and 15 centimeters of ease. And more than likely, I only need 7 centimeters of ease, or 5 centimeters of ease, and things like that. So those are little tricks that I kind of picked up along the way on how to make things fit for my body. A lot of people ask me, why do you knit everything so cropped? It's because I don't have a waist. Like literally the width of my bust and my hips, there's like 1 inch. And so like, I need help, like shaping my body. And so making that sweater cropped right at my waist helps to delineate my waist for me and give me a little bit of a shape.
Yeah.
And so,
Have you ever thought about designing your own? I mean, as we said, we all work with beautiful designers and wonderful designers. And I'm, personally, I'm just feel that and mYak, we are like, blessed, and I'm sure you feel the same, but, you are like, you are, it's probably easier for you to get the designers that you want, but the fact that they come to us as well and they want to work with us since the beginning has been a blessing. But have you ever thought about doing your own design? I mean, right now, and we will talk about the book where you have approached other designers.
Yes.
But what about having your own design, or, is that something coming up that we should know?
That's a great question. It is something that I have thought about really like on a regular basis over the last 2 years, because I've had so much time to kind of think and reflect. I would love to design. I love knitting other people's designs and adapting them to my body shape. It like helps me to push myself outside of the box and figure out like, oh, that raglan increase is going too fast. Like, how do I make it so that it goes a little bit slower? So I kind of have figured out these little tricks and stuff. I am actually thinking about getting into designing, but I'm having so much fun right now designing yarn. That like, I want to focus my energy on designing yarn for the moment before I jump into maybe making designs. And so like over the last 2 years, I've really been immersed in making yarn bases, which is really fun. And so that kind of brings me to, Corey Worsted. That was my pandemic project. Like I started designing this yarn like right at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was the thing that I worked on to release. And I designed this yarn from A to Z, like literally even down to like how many ties that the mill will put on it, how long the hank is going to be, the thickness, and how tightly the plies are spun. And it was such a fascinating process to learn for me. So that's kind of where I am right now in my design process. I'm designing yarn. I'm actually kind of thinking about getting a spinning wheel because I want to like spin yarn as well. But that's kind of going along that same line of designing yarn, spinning yarn, and things like that. But it is in the back of my mind to make knitwear design. It's there. So
in a way, adjusting a design, and this is what everybody should really do. When you look at the design, you should really adjust it to make sure it suits your body and it feels good for you, whatever yarn you choose, whatever colors and shades and shapes. So what you're doing is exactly what you should be doing. And talking about the time of the pandemic, and I know that we had this conversation before. I think, during the pandemic, I think we all started saying, okay, we don't have to go to work. So here we put on a pair of joggings and, and a t-shirt, or we stay in our pajamas for days. And I know that for you, you're talking to a friend and you decided that you should wear something, get dressed every day at least to not to fall into that trap of living in your PJ every day. And these chats, like, you know, I started back in 2 years ago. I think, you know, we were discussing, and I was like going out of my mind in lockdown, not doing anything, not feeling, you know, I miss my showroom and I miss the events that I was doing. So clicking that go live button on Instagram has been a saver for me, because I could just reach out to people through the screen. And, you know, when nobody knew what Zoom was yet, you know, I was like,
well, I tuned into your lives all the time, Paola.
And it was like, oh my God, we can do that. And I remember that those are the days where I was dressing up, you know, so it was twice a week. And that's how the knitting yak started. And then we move on to YouTube, and we continue, not as often as I should do. But going back to the sample, I think that's when I actually started wearing the samples that we're making. You know, we have all these beautiful samples ourselves, whether, you know, I knit, you know, one and the other, you know, and I get all the sample knitters making the samples for us. But I always thought that the samples were made for the shows. You know, the samples were made for the showroom. Very often we're not in a size that I could wear them. And I thought, like, you know what, I have all these beautiful things that I could wear. And I start, you know, the process changed completely, because I start wearing them. So every single one that you have here belongs, you know, I wear them, and I just wear them almost, you know, I don't say every day, because clearly now I didn't want to, you know, put a sample on that it was not in your yarn. But I think that changed as well, and just having the idea of how these the yarn that we use and the samples that we have become an everyday, you know, part of us. And I think, and I see that you do the same, whether it's the sweaters, the cardigans, or the shawls, and me as well. I just go, you know, I go pick up my daughter at school. I had this little cardigan, you know, on this morning, and I was like, and I think that makes the yarn also more alive, and people see it and say, you know, they're wearing it, they're actually wearing it. So it has to be good. If it's good for them, it's good for a lot of people as well, and it fits. So
absolutely, absolutely. It was really interesting when I was doing my book tour in the US. One woman was like, one of my samples I've been wearing, and she looked at it and she was like, oh, she's like, is this like a sample, or is this like someone's sweater? And I was like, I looked at her, I was like, oh, that's my sweater. And she was like, oh, but it's like on the mannequin. I was like, yeah, no, I wear all my samples. And she was like, why would you do that? And I was like, because it gives me an idea of how the fabric wears, you know. And so I had a really nice conversation with her, because she didn't realize. And I said to her, I was like, I explained to her about pilling and how, like, you know, when things rub together, and like, especially with the Corey worsted, what's incredible is, like, you can wear this yarn, it'll pill, and then you like get the satisfaction of shaving it with like a gleaner or something, and then it's like perfect again. And she looked at me, she goes, I did not know that was a thing. And so, like, right there, like, somebody whipped out a gleaner and put it in my hand, and I showed her, I was like, look at this, you know, and everything like that. And so it's just like, I think that I'm like you. I think the samples need to be worn and lived in and shown. It gives them a story and a life. Obviously, like, you can see behind me, I have all my samples here. I think I wear most of these. There are a couple that are not in my size, so that I'm not wearing those, but those were knit as samples for magazines and things like that, that I didn't have myself. But every sample that I have knit for a show is in my size. Because when it's in my size, anybody can try it on. And so that means somebody who's my size, or maybe even a little bigger, they can still get into it. But like someone who's smaller, they can get into it, and we can tuck it back and say, like, this is what it would look like on you. And that feels great. You know, I can't tell you how many people come up to me and say, like, I can't believe I can try on all the samples. And
we do our samples in a good size as well. I mean, not, you know, at least it fits me, and, you know, and a little bit bigger. And there's one good things about our yarn is that it doesn't really peel. And I always make fun of myself, because, you know, and I've done it in a few live, you know, or even in, you know, in person. I always say, look at my armpit, it doesn't peel. And here I am showing my armpit with my sweater. And I'm like, what am I doing? I think I've just done it like last week when I had a lovely chat with two wonderful YouTuber, Knit with Yona and Kim, with Kim and Yona. And we had this chat, and I would just show this. See, it doesn't peel. It doesn't peel.
Amazing. I love that. I wish I was there to see that. That's so funny.
My armpit to people. I'm like, okay, remember, you have to. But I'm Italian. I'm just like,
you know what? Knitters think about that kind of stuff. I swear I've had many conversations about you know, the arm sky depth and, you know, your sweater going into the armpit. Like, that's like a no-no for me. Like, and that's why I like to customize my knitting so I can get it so it doesn't go into.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, maybe we should talk about this amazing creation. Let's talk about how the book Worsted came about, because this is really, it's like the birth of a child, right?
It kind of felt like that. It was a very fast process. Worsted
fast,
book,
you said?
It was a fast process.
Oh,
We produced it in less than a year.
Wow.
Which I didn't know that was fast until after we did it. And then people were like, that was so fast. And I was like, oh yeah. Now that we're working on the second book, we've pushed the deadline. We're not going to do that again in a year because that was a lot of work to do in a year. But it was really a very exciting process. It was my way of applying what I learned, because I was able to guest edit the Pom Pom issue 35 with Stephen West. And I learned a little bit about putting together a magazine and all the things, all the kind of little moving parts that went into it. And I was like, this is really interesting. I would like to try this on a book format. I'm a knitter who loves knitting books. My husband has moved my knitting books now like 3 times, and he's all like, can we do something about these? And I'm like, no. I was like, these are my knitting books. Like, we can't, you know, get rid of them. Like, there's people who probably, my husband has lots of like manga, which are these like Japanese comic books, you know? And so I was like, it's like the manga for you is like what knitting books are for me. He was like, okay, I get it. And so I feel like really since Ravelry has arrived, I haven't really bought a knitting book because, you know, you can go and get the pattern and download it. I look at it on my iPad and that's it. And I was thinking, as I was working on Corey Worsted and releasing Corey Worsted, I was like, man, it would be great to have a companion book to go with this yarn and make a beautiful book. And so I approached Laine Publishing with my idea to make a beautiful book. And I said, I wanted something to be, when you hold it in your hand, that it feels special. And so that's why we opted for the fabric cover like this. Small details of like having the ribbon in the book so that you can keep your place. One of the things is, like, if you ever look through my knitting book and my knitting book collection, inside the books, there's like all these little margins here and stuff like that. Inside my personal knitting book collection, I write in the margins. You know, I would take notes and maybe write in my edits for that design. And so I was like, I really want to have this option to have that space. So all the patterns in the book have these like spaces here where you can like maybe write down some special notes or something like that when you're working on the pattern. And I just really wanted to make a tangible way to be connected with people. So this is a collection that I curated. So I did not design the patterns in this book. I brought together 10 designers that I admire in our industry. 8 of them I had worked together with, and 2 of them I had never worked with before, and approached them and asked if they would like to design something for my book using Corey Worsted. And so that's how Worsted came to be. It's a knitwear collection that is all about textured stitches, cables, color work, and intarsia. There's shawls and there's sweaters. I'm a sweater knitter now. So since I overcame my resistance to sweaters and really embraced sweater knitting, I consider myself a sweater knitter. Like, whenever I want to cast on something, it's either a sweater or socks. It has to be something that I can, you know, wear on my body. And that's kind of like my go-to thing. So there are a lot of sweaters in here. There are a couple shawls and some hats.
And the photography, the photography is amazing as well. You know, the model, the photography the photos were taken by Yona and Sini from Laine.
Yes, I asked specifically for them to shoot my first book. I wanted to collaborate with people that I have worked with before. And so I have worked with Yona and Sini for years. And so I knew that they would understand like my mood that I wanted to have in the book. And the fact that I wanted to show the sweater on 2 different bodies, which was really important to me. So here you can see like the Andrea cardigan shown on 2 different body types. the model that's here is she's actually the same size as me. So she's wearing all of my samples in the book.
I think having that actually, you know, to me, one of the, I mean, it's beautiful, is everything, the curation, the way, in a way, the way that the designers, you know, they all have their unique styles, whether it's Andrea Maury, Stephen West, or Nancy Marchand, you know, you have wonderful designers there, and they're all very different styles. But when you put it together, when you flip through the book, it really looks like a cohesive collection, and not just because of the yarn, which of course helps carry the theme, you know, forward, but as if they were almost working in a group, which they didn't, because they didn't know, you know, they didn't know.
Did not know.
That's what is beautiful about this book. You go through them and you have something for everybody, something for every type of body type, design, styles. Is just incredibly beautiful. I think it is.
That was one of the biggest surprises, because I opted not to tell the designers who the other designers were in the book. They knew how many there were, but they didn't know who was collaborating. And so when the swatches came in, so this was like our first view of everything, is when the swatches came in, before the final designs came in, and we started laying them all out together. And it was just incredible to see all the swatches and how like they all came together. So I don't know how that happened. I guided them. Obviously I guided them and said like, okay, we need to do texture stitches, cables, and I let everyone choose. And a couple of designers, I want to say like, so we have two designs, two shawl designs. They're both in semicircle. So the one is the Soraya shawl and Knitprovisation. But they're two completely different styled shawls, you know? And so I was, when in my mind, it was really abstract because they're both doing semicircle shawls. And I was a little worried. I was like, oh no, we're going to have two shawls that are semicircle. But when they came in and I saw how different they were, but you know, cohesive, and actually the original color was this one. So this is Stephen's original color. And this was Seisha's color. And look, they go together too. It's like they're coordinating. You could actually wear them both together. And I was just like, this is wonderful. And so based on this collection that first came in, that's how I picked the colors for the second samples that are shown in the book.
Okay.
So that's how I was able to pick some cohesion between the designs.
So the book has been out in English and is available on, you know, through so many stockists around the world. Is on your website, on the Laine website as well. But the French edition, the reprint of the French edition, or the original, or the first French edition is coming.
So the French edition is available right now as well. So we have it on our website, and I think Laine is selling it, and then French stockists and probably in French-speaking Canada. It is the English version that's coming, the third print that is coming out on June 1st, right, Julia? Yeah, so on June 1st, that will be back out again. So that's available for pre-order now, if people want to get the third edition of the English version. And we're going to have the Japanese version coming out too very soon.
That's congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you.
We need an Italian version. A lot of Italian always ask, do you have more Italian? I'm like, oh, you know, it's, you know, they're not, I mean, they're wonderful. I mean, there are designers that translate their patterns in Italian, but I guess the market is not as big as you know, the US market or the other countries. But what was I going to say? I got mine at Brooklyn General when you came through the, to do your book tour. So I was really happy, you know, that we met very briefly there, and we didn't really have time to catch up. So this is an excellent opportunity to catch up. But I think when we were, you know, we were looking through the books, of course, you know, as we, you know, you have your yarn and they're all done with the beautiful yarn, we start seeing how your Corey worsted, or at least the styling and the colors of Corey worsted in a way were a bit similar to our Baby Yak, our 100% Baby Yak medium. They are both light worsted, And I know that, you know, as much as you do, sometimes, you know, you do wonderful colors and some are really like out there and vibrant. But I think that personally you like the headers colors the most, which is what we are about. You know, our ones are like calm, very zen, very Tibetan. You know, we don't have the neon pinks. We don't have speckles. Of course, we are not hand dyers. We just have our color palette. And but we saw quite a few similarities, and that was really interesting. You know, when we were chatting, I said, I think I would love to have some of these samples.
Yes, and I really encourage people to knit from worsted with whatever yarn they have, whatever worsted DK they have in your stash. So show us, Paola, what you got.
So I thought that maybe what we could do, and I can't believe we already done almost an hour of chatting. It's already passing by. And I thought we could just go through the book and show you the sample, so that, you know, we also have uploaded kits on a website. So if you go on a website on the homepage, you will see all of the samples and with the permission, with permission, and with our yarn. So it's up to you. Of course, you know, you have the beautiful Cori worsted, and you can choose some beautiful mYak as well, whatever you prefer, whatever you do, or any yarn that you have in stash. The important thing is that you enjoy the knitting. The rest is just a second one. So what I thought about showing you, we want to start with the first one, and Aimée is going to show you the sample in the original yarn, which is this one. And in a minute, we will, our Aimée will spotlight, will show you a slide. While maybe Aimée, while you talk about this one, we can show the a slide, and I can tell you what yarn I would use to make this sample.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. So for Azucena, for this sample, we used a light main color. So like oatmeal would be the closest to what we used here, which is Avoine on Cori worsted. And then you need to pick 3 of your favorite colors for the yoke. So just looking at, I mean, oh my gosh, these choices are so good. If you want to get something as close as possible to the original, I would use Urban Nature, Dusty Pink, and maybe Mustard. Those 3 together to get something close to what Nadia, the designer, chose for her yoke. But man, I would love to see like saffron, dusty pink, and emerald together, or desert, dusty pink and saffron. That would be super great. There's so many options you can do. You can also, you don't have to do a light color main color. Some of the most stunning versions of Azucena that I've seen is with a darker main color.
Right. So, see, you know, here you can see some of the color combination. We love playing with colors as well. So that would be, you know, this would have been my first choice. You had the, you know, that mustard, the dusty pink, the desert as one of the main colors, and the oatmeal as an accent.
I love that
as well. But as you were saying, you know, we also, with the Urban Nature going in, we had one with the ochre, which it goes more on the second sample, which is the Cardigan. So that would also be very nice.
This one here
as well. So that one, that would be nice with the mustard, dusty pink, and that.
That's gorgeous. I love that.
So this is the Cardigan instead. I mean, you know, when I saw the Cardigan with this beautiful mustardy color, what's the name of your color?
So we use caramel.
Caramel.
So it's kind of a caramel brownie gold color.
Yeah. So that's why we thought, you know, you see some of that, you know, some people might, you know, like more, you know, yellow and more green. So we try to come out with some color combination. I mean, the color combinations are endless, and you can just come out with your own color combination as well.
When I knit a sweater, I always want to knit it in Yellow Brick Road. Like, this is not like a joke. Like, a new design comes out and they'll ask me like, what color you want to do? I was like, Yellow Brick Road. And my assistants are like, no, you have to pick a different color because I have too many sweaters in Yellow Brick Road. But like, so this one was really a push for me, the one in caramel. And so I opted to do kind of a low contrast color work here, just because I really wanted, I don't know what I was thinking. I was like really just wanting to embrace the caramel color in the same color. But like, honestly, there's so many options. Look at all the options together.
I get, you know, this would be my option for the Cardigan.
I love that.
I love the saffron, the orange. Here is the brick dust, which was one of the limited edition, but has become back in stock, and then with the 2 natural colors. So this is all with the Baby Yak medium, which is our equivalent. Of course, you have to get gauge. There's no way that it will match one. So you will have to try and swatch and swatch and swatch. We learn a lesson not swatching or not gauge, and we talked about it. By all means, don't come back to us and say, oh, it doesn't work, it's not the same. It wasn't, it will not the same. Also, our yarn is really blooms after you wash it and block it. So the feeling that you have in the skein is very different. I mean, anything that you touch, you're like, oh, it's so soft, and the skein feels a little bit different, nice and soft. And remember, it's ethically sourced. It's all, the good stuff is here as well. So those are the 2 yarns that you should choose, nothing else other than. I'm joking.
I love that.
Added a curry worsted of that, but I think that's just the first sample that you had with Nadia, and you worked with Nadia before, right?
Yes. So Nadia Crétin-Léchenne is a designer that is based in Switzerland, and we have been collaborating together for over 10 years. Like, she and I worked together when I owned my cafe, and I would write to her and say, like, can you make me a shawl design for my shop using, I think the first design we worked together was Cardigan, and she did it in Juno Fiber Arts, which is a yarn brand that doesn't exist anymore, but that came out of the UK. And I just wanted to have a shawl design to make kits to be able to sell the yarn. That's how we started working together. And she's a wonderful designer. She makes really beautiful sweaters and accessories and shawls. We collaborate every year on her birthday, so she's going to have a design coming out in June for her birthday shawl, and she always does it in La Bien-Aimée, and it's really cool. So yeah.
Oh, nice. All right. So the next one is Steven West.
Yeah.
So of course, when you talk about Steven, you're going to have a big shawl with lots of colors.
Exactly. And he chose 5 colors for this.
So when go ahead. Sorry. No, go ahead.
When I approached him, he knows I like this shape of shawl, because like when I approached him, I said, hey, I had just finished the Fanta Stitch, and I was like, would you like to make a design like something like the Fanta Stitch? And he's like, oh, I know what shape to go for exactly. And so he did a sampling of textured stitches through here, and he was like, how many colors can I use? And I was like, well, let's maybe limit it to 5 or something. So he picked 5 of his favorite colors. So that's such a good palette. That's amazing.
We try to mimic, and I'll get back. Yeah, so we try to mimic this particular combo, and we created a few others that you can see here. So the one I had in my hand is the mustard with the desert, the purple fig, and the saffron. But you can see how we try to match with different combo as well. This one is definitely my favorite.
Very close to the original, yeah.
But I love, you have a second sample in the book as well.
I do. So this one,
that one too.
This is Amy's version of Knitprovisation. This was based on one of my favorite dresses, and I'm actually photographed in the book wearing that dress. And that's how this palette kind of came about.
Go to that.
I think it's like in the front. Let me see.
I think it's in the front. Yeah, I'll find it.
Yeah, here it is right here.
Oh, okay. You have it. Yes, I think, and because I've seen that, I just was trying to come out with a combo as well, because I love, I'm a lover of pink. So I wanted to have something very similar. So I'm putting it together while you talk, trying to find it.
So yeah, pink is yellow's my favorite color. And then pink is my second favorite color. And Fluor Morganite is was at the time our only neon color that we released on Corey Worsted. So that's that color right here. And so I kind of saw that Fluor Morganite color in that dress. And so that's how I pulled this palette together. Oh, I love that one. That's so pretty.
Sorry, with the pink, trying to get to the camera. So we have the big blue, but with the greens and the pink, and of course, if I can stick the pink anywhere, I will.
That's amazing. That's super fresh for spring.
So that would be more like, not as strong as the first one, and a little bit more similar to what you have, but still with the healing blue you know, to go to. But I love this version. I think it's such a beautiful shawl as well, because it's such a, I think it's a comfort wrap more than a shawl.
It is so nice to wear just like over the shoulder. Sometimes I'm sitting here working at my computer and just having it over the shoulder. Honestly, this is now that I've gotten a little bit older, this is kind of how I wear my shawls now. I just throw them on. I get really hot easily, so I can't like just like wrap myself up in it. I'm a cowl person, so like when I go outside, I like to put on a cowl. But this is kind of how I like to wear shawls. I just wear it as like a statement piece over my shoulders to show it off. You know,
it's nice. Yeah, and it's nice. It's easy to put it on and off, and yeah, there is no.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's missing here. Where is it? My Malva. Here it is. We have this new that was a limited edition. This mauve color, this Malva color. So we tried to put it together with the. I will lose all the yarn here. The mustard, the saffron, the desert, and the oatmeal. So this was also.
Oh, that's lovely.
I
love using white as like pop color. I feel like that's like when people like when I can't find the right pop color, I go grab white. Ecru is like amazing for a pop color. Yeah. And
the next one is and you've been friends with Steven for forever, right? Because
well, we're two Midwesterners living in Europe. So he's from Oklahoma, I'm from Kansas. And like when we met years ago, we hit it off. And so it's always really nice to collaborate with Steven. We both really like color, and you know, that's just kind of what draws us together is our love for color and knitting. And so yeah.
The next one in the book is Amina by Sylvia Cherry.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so gorgeous.
So beautiful.
And it comes with a cowl as well. Yeah. So this
yes, absolutely.
It's about a sweater and a cowl.
Yeah.
You have a colorful, you know, color work and the like tone on tone as well in the previous.
I love that one in the middle.
Yeah.
The desert ochre, emerald, dusty pink. That's awesome.
Yeah, that one. Let me show you in real life. Do I find it? Where did I lost it here? Desert and ochre. I just need to find my ochre skein somewhere. I probably dropped it on the floor. Oh no, found it.
So we're gonna pretend like I'm wearing the sweater. I'm just gonna hold it up. It's hot to put on. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, of course.
Sweating over here. Yeah.
That would be the combo as well. Trying to match that.
So I know a lot of people feel a little intimidated by Amina because it's intarsia. But you know, intarsia is not hard at all. If you've like watched any videos with Sylvia or Nancy, they'll talk about intarsia. And I actually listen to them and take their advice. You just have to forget about your yarn getting tangled up in the back. You know, you just got to forget about it. And a really good project for starting out intarsia is the Amina cowl, because it's a small, like kind of a larger motif here, and it's a smaller project. So it's a little less daunting to give it a go. And one really good thing about the Corey worsted is that you don't have to leave it in bobbins. You can just pull off a long tail and then knit it. And when you get to, and you need more yarn, because it's a natural yarn, you can spit splice it together, and there's no ends to weave in.
Yeah.
So, and that's amazing.
Yeah. I think we do the spit splicing on the Baby Yak Medium, and it's incredible. The first time actually somebody, you know, basically, you know, they were trying to explain it to me, and they said, oh, you just spit on it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? You know, I'm thinking about then after somebody will have to wear it. And but I said, well, but then I wash it and I block it, so nobody will know about it. And then actually our Aimée that is helping here today, she, you know, explained to me about how you separate the plies and you put them together and you join so that you don't have a bump. I mean, that was like mind blowing to me. And I was like, I don't have any more joints. And, you know, even some sample knitters, I have to say, can you just do that? And, you know, you have a shawl and you have a little knot in the middle. I'm like, I cannot have that. So
no.
To know the Corey worsted, you can do that as well, because
especially if it's a natural yarn, you should just spit splice it. You don't have to use spit. You could just spray some water on there, you know.
Sure, but I think that it has something more special to it, you know, and it's a part of you in the sample as well. It's all good. The next one, it's the beautiful Andrea cardigan by Andrea Maury.
Yes.
Let's This is so gorgeous.
Yeah, this
I love all the details. Yeah, that you can see here. I love the photography as well. This model is stunning.
I know, she's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Something fun about Andrea is Andrea designs it so that you do your gauge swatch. So the square that you use on the inside of your pocket is your gauge swatch, and then you go back and use it to make your pocket.
Yeah.
So that's really great.
Yeah. This is good. So you were saying at the beginning how you create the sample. You try to create the 2 samples in 2 different sizes, and this is a perfect example you can see. So you had the first sample that was a little bit bigger than this one, and they both look so beautiful. I mean, you know, we went with the ochre, which is more like we call it ochre, but I think it was becoming more and more like a little green color, but you know, and any color here would look really, you know, really stunning. I'm just, I mean, probably I would do it with the purple fig.
Oh, it would be amazing. I've seen
really,
many dark versions of Andrea.
Yeah,
and it looks
because
so
I think
good.
a dark, but you know, not as you said. It's funny that you said at the beginning, not everybody can wear yellow, and there is a bit of a stigma about Asian. You know, I lived and worked in Asia most of my life, and I remember because I love yellow, I was wearing it, and a lot of the both the Tibetans and the Chinese friends that I had, they said, "How can you wear that color?" And I was like, well, try it on. It will look as beautiful on you as it does look on me, and it does, you know, and I do have more friends wearing yellow after that. So,
that's great.
Yeah, it's, you know, so the ochre definitely, but the mustard. But even like you know, like a color, even if you go with a natural chocolate, which is the natural color of the Baby Yak, it's just, you can wear it on everything. So it's really up to, you know, whatever color choice that you have. How many colors do you have in Curry worsted?
Oh my goodness.
612?
35. Julie just told me 35.
It's good.
So yeah, we just added 3 new ones. So anemone, sea glass, and sansa. They're up on my Instagram page if you want to have a look, so that we can make some light, fresh ones. I just wanted to give a little bit some notes about Andrea too when you're knitting it. So for size wise, try to aim for something. If you want something a little bit more fitted, you have to remember that Andrea is a cardigan that's meant to be worn open. So let me pop up a photo here. Because I can't put the cardigan on right now. It's just too hot. So the cardigan is meant to be worn open. Okay. So if you feel like that you want to have a little bit more space over your chest and for it to come over, knit 1 size bigger. And that will give you a little bit more ease. I noticed, because this was our first sample that we knit for myself, and I put it on, and one of the first things I did was I kept pulling it. I kept pulling it. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and put this on to illustrate what I'm talking about. I
hope your air conditioning is on.
Air conditioning is on. So this is knitted with me. I think this has like, what, 10 centimeters of ease? No. 0 ease. Okay, this one's 0 ease. So it's very tight. And this one fits like it does on the model, open. And one of the first things I started doing was like, I kept going like this. Yeah. And I was like, okay, that's annoying. I don't like that. I'm not going to be happy wearing this cardigan in this size. And this is the one that's closest to my bust size. Okay. So then we knit a second sample in bone, 1 size up. And it just gives me a little bit more ease.
Oh yeah.
And see, it comes down over my chest. I can access the pockets better. And now I just wear this one, no problem. And I don't catch myself pulling on it at all. Yes. Yes. So it really depends on how you want it to fit. There were people when I was on book tour who really liked it when it was fitted very close, because it felt like a little vest. They wanted to wear it more like with something to wear to work. Yeah. So that's kind of something to think about when you're picking the sizing for Andrea.
That's good to know, because I tend to do that as well. I tend to try to close it. I don't know, there is always something about us women. I don't know, there's still that trying to cover yourself. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether I want to feel protected, whether I am embarrassed. I always try to, when I have something that is not close, I always feel that I should close it, which is really ridiculous. So I actually, now that I wear dresses, like, you know, you wear a lot of dresses as well, then it's easier because I can just have something on and I'm good. But this, I think that was a very good tip to try to size it up, and so that you, if you want to close it up.
Because you can customize the length of the sleeves, because one of the big problems with sizing up is the sleeve length also changes a little bit. And that's something that's completely customizable when you're knitting.
That's good. Moving on, we have Stratified by Knitwear, which is so gorgeous as well. I think I've seen, this one was on the model at the Brooklyn General when I came to see you, and I was like, oh yeah, I want that one too. Yes.
This is the original colors that Tiff Nealon picked. What did you guys pick out?
So I have the one that I would prefer is the Healing Blue with the oatmeal, dusty pink, of course. Urban Nature, we had that touch of green that we've seen that I have somewhere here, and brick dust.
Yeah, those are the colors that are the closest to the original. That's awesome.
So yeah, but I also love the second combo with the emerald and the dusty pink. Oh, dusty pink. Is it dusty pink in the 3 combos? We did that? Yes. So
I think that's a good move right there. I like that pink. It's really nice.
Yeah, so that would be, you know, definitely. And if you like blue, you can always swap the green. I mean, you can swap the blue with the emerald as well. So, but that way, you know, we're trying to match a little bit. Or you could put the purple fig instead. And again, when we prepare the kits, we just put some combos together. But once you're on the website and you have the book, of course, and if you don't have the book, you should get it. You know, just look at the yardage that you need, and you just need to get the number of skeins that, you know, they are equals if you want to swap a color or anything else. So just, you know, we always on email or DM or whatever, you just, you know, let us know. We can always help you pick in color, which is one of the really interesting, by the way, one of the very interesting things that you have, we don't have specifically, you know, we tell people email us and we will help you pick in color, but you actually have an email, say colors or color help. It's
color advice.
Color advice, and you click on it and somebody will actually answer and tell you and help you out. I mean, that's amazing. I thought that was really cool.
I really love those emails. They're so good because people miss coming to our shop, and that was like one of my favorite things when they come in and ask me like, what color should I pick for this design? We had this amazing email that came in the other day. The woman wanted to match her purse. So she sent us a picture of her purse. She sent a picture of herself, and she's like, okay, I have one color and one color. And it made it so easy for us to pick the rest of the colors. So yeah, it's wonderful. And plus we needed to create that separate email address to separate those emails out from our
Oh yeah, that makes sense. It's really bright. It's really good idea. I mean, that's one of the things I miss the most is to meet with people and help them with color as well. You know, I as much as we don't hand dye, we produce our own yarn, and I'm doing all the color palette. I'm doing all of the color studies depending on the mood. You know, again, inspired by nature. A lot of course, is inspired by Tibetan cultures. Each color has not only an inspiration, but because we don't have huge palette, we want to make sure that all the colors go together, which in a way also the Corey worsted is they all work really well together because they have the same, I think you have a gray base.
Yes, they're all dyed on a gray base. That's the Gotland that's bringing it all together. Yes.
And, you know, if people watching that don't know our story, I mean, these are our natural, the 3 natural bays, and not often the white is as white as this one. Very often is much darker. Sometimes is as dark as something, here. Sometimes, you know.
Oh my, yeah.
So it could be, depends on the season. And I always say depends on what the young feel like eating that season. You know, they might pick on different grass or the environment and anything else. So what we source, because also the sourcing is done by hand. So we have women, you know, once the yarn is, when the fiber is collected, we have the group of women that belongs to our cooperative. They hand separate all the colors. So sometimes, it depends on what it is. So this is the natural brown, the natural chocolate. And I know that over the years, so many people have asked, say, why don't you just bleach this one and get a perfect white to color things? And we said, no way. I mean, just thinking about how you ruin a fiber, but how you pollute the environment if you actually do that. I mean, that's for us was a no-no. And we always said, we'd rather stay with less colors, but know that we can stick to our principles than have those those problems. So, and we only over dyed, so we dyed on the 3 bases. So to give you an example,
I was just going to ask you, like all the lighter colors you're dyeing on the white base, but what are the colors that you dye on the brown base? So it would be like the
so we have actually, which is the first, the burgundy.
Oh, beautiful.
So so this is actually the first 2 colors that we had when we went to the first show back in 2013. And I remember I was so embarrassed because we only had these 2 colors. And we only, we dyed the burgundy on top of the chocolate. And I came into this beautiful, location here in New York for the Vogue Knitting Live. And I saw all of these stands with like millions of gazillions of colors and speckles. And I went in and I'm like, that's it. That's what we have. That's what we are trying to sell. And it's yak and nobody knows about it. And so, but people were coming by on the second day, they were calling us the chocolate booth. So, and it became, I became more famous for the chocolate yarn. I'm like, who doesn't like chocolate?
Yeah, of course.
The burgundy is dyed on that. Of course, we have we also have the midnight blue, which is is a very dark, dark navy blue. We have a black, and we have a true black. You can see the difference between the black and the moss, which is a dark forest green.
All of those colors would be amazing for Andrea, like a really moody Andrea cardigan.
And we actually made one sweater in moss, which I really, really love. And I think that Hohi Knit created pair of socks with this one as well, as she loves as well years ago. So these are the yarn, these are the colors that I dyed on the chocolate. Then we have the lighter base, which is the desert. And again, sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter itself, and whatever colors we have, we dyed, or most of the colors are dyed on this one. And then we have like the saffron and the emerald and the ochre that dyed on the lighter one. So that's
amazing.
Pink, of course. Where's my pink? Yes, and the pink. So that's what we have on the lighter base. The rest is dyed. So of course we have a limited. It's like we always say with the yak. The white yak is like the black sheep. In a herd of 100 yaks, maybe you have 1 white one.
Really?
So you don't herd of 100 chocolate, brownish, dark. You have 1 white one. And taking that, we only take the fiber from the younger yaks up to 2 years old. They shed naturally, so there's no harm to the animal. They shed naturally, we just comb them gently, only the undercoat. So that is like, maybe we get 100 grams of fiber from 1 animal per season. And then what we do, we dehair it. So, we separate the coarse hair from the fine hair locally. And from that, so from the 100 grams, we only obtain 25 grams of the fiber, and that's why it doesn't peel. All of the coarse hair, all of the shorter hair goes. So from that, and then it goes to Italy. When when you spin it, of course, there is another loss of a certain amount of percentage. So from that animal, maybe it's like a few skeins of yarn. So that's why we always say, is that don't complain if you don't find the color that you want this season. You will have to wait for next season. We can click a button on the on Amazon and get some yarn shipped over. So I think is and it's the same for you, because you dye in batches, and it's a limited number of skeins that you can produce as well in that color. And
we dye in batches of 5. So there's a possibility that, like, when we dye 50 skeins, they're all going to be a little bit different. They are all going to be a little bit different. We try really hard to match the batches, but it's still an artisanal work that we're doing. So,
which is the beauty. I think it's the beautiful of it. The stratified cardigan also has a hat that you can most likely probably knit with the leftovers of the cardigan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the point of the Strata hat. We have 3 patterns like this in the book where you use the leftovers. So Amina was the Amina cowl, you use the leftovers. Strata, you use the leftovers to make, or stratified, you make the Strata hat. And honestly, you can move the colors around and make them in any order that you want. I wanted a pink hat, but technically if you follow the recipe, I think it's like, we have all these swatches here. I think the hat actually comes out looking like this.
Okay.
So there's enough yarn to kind of move things around and make it in the colorway that you want. So yeah.
I love that pink one. I just,
Yeah, I needed a pink hat. So
who doesn't really? Who doesn't need a pink hat? We all need pink in our lives. Saraya is the next sample by Saisha Green. So let me show it here and then, yeah, those all 4 of those will be gorgeous. Tibetan Sky, Petrol, Brick Dust, and Malva. Honestly, those deep jewel tones that you make are amazing. Yeah. It's, I think is the color that you have is this bright orange. Let me try to find I'm sure you.
Kind of like an orangey red.
Yeah. And was the coquelicot? No.
Coquelicot, which means poppy in French.
Yeah. Oh, poppy. That's it. It's really, really nice. I think that's really cute. But the Aimée colors, I think, I was just showing them out, but just because it's one of them. It doesn't come. I mean, it's brighter in real life than what it is. But so the brick dust would be my choice for this one, I think. Let me see. Where do we have it inside here? I don't know. I'm just sort of obsessed with this color right now. So.
Oh, that would be gorgeous. Yeah, that's lovely.
It's
I love
really
that.
And it's such, and is this the one that comes in different sizes? No, this one comes in one size, right? Yeah.
This one's one size. So you need 5 skeins of Corey worsted. So our skeins are 230 meters each.
Yeah. So our skeins are 50 grams. So you will need more skeins, you know.
Yeah. We'll use the full 5 skeins for this shawl. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll probably, I can't remember now, but I think it's 7 or 8 of our skeins to have that one. The next one is Perennial by Nora Gone.
Yay. So Nora Gone was one of the designers that I approached and I had never worked with before.
There is a little story that you have in the book about how nervous you were to approach Nora. Sorry, 1 second.
The blue version, yeah. Oh, I love that night flower medium. That would be a really great color for a perennial.
The night flower would be closer to the color what you have. That would be really, really pretty. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. That's really
nice. I love
nice.
that front, the front cabling situation there.
Yeah. So this one I'm going to put on because we specifically discussed making a design that would look good over a dress. And Nora knew that I wore these kinds of linen dresses. So let me just, there we go. And so it fits perfectly over my dress so I can access my pockets. And I just love this like high-low hem situation going on here.
I love that.
Yeah, it's really nice. I think this is optional too. Yeah. You can knit this down if you want to.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's and as I was saying, I thought it was interesting the story that you put in your book about being nervous because you had not worked with Nora before and you were nervous in approaching her. I remember, I knew about Nora. I mean, who doesn't? So Nora is like, this powerhouse in the industry. She does all this beautiful work. And I remember we were at Vogue Knitting and I knew that she was on the floor because she was stitching, I think, at a time. And I was like, wow, how do I go to her? How do I approach her? I'm very nervous in approaching people. I'm too shy. And so my, Andrea, my co-founder, would say, which one? Tell me, maybe we can approach her together. Oh, people are amazing. And there I was just thinking about my own thing, helping a lot of people come in. And with the corner of my eyes, at one point, I see this lady standing very quietly, you know, so subdued. I don't know, maybe it's not the right word, very calmly on the corner of my booth. And I'm like, I turn around and say, oh, that's Nora gone. And she said, yeah, do your things. I want to talk to you, but just do your things. I don't want to bother you. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, it's Nora gone. So I move people. And I think, and she was so nice and approachable.
Yeah,
and, you know,
yeah, completely.
She's amazing. If you know the details of the things she works, she does. But the fact that you always think of these talented designers and people that are out there, and they are people like ourselves.
They are.
You know, I was super nervous about talking to you as well, that, you know, it's working out well.
Yeah, they're just regular people, just like you and I. So,
yeah, it's and it's incredible the fact that, you know, and the fact that they appreciate our work, they appreciate our yarns, and it means a lot.
it does. It really does.
It's yeah, and you know, Nora has some beautiful books, and you know, we are so lucky to be included in both. Yeah, I think in both of our books. So I think
That's
we are
amazing.
yeah. So, but and I think you are too. Yeah. So. The next one is Yesteryears, which is a very interesting name by Maxime Cyr. Is that how you pronounce his name? Cyr?
Yes, Maxime Cyr.
Cyr, yeah. That's a nice one.
So here you can see it on this model here. It's just very long and straight. She's actually wearing the Maxime's size.
Oh, wow. It's a nice, yeah, but it's really nice on her.
It looks really nice, oversized, right?
Yes, it does. You know, I think I love unisex as well. So I think was Lazy Day and Desert. So one was again with the brick dust, just because
oh, nice
the color. So the deserts and the brick dust.
I like this one.
You could do with the mustard as well. I could see how you could do that, you know, if you want to.
Oh, I love that one too. That's so good.
To that. I wanted one with the Lazy Day, which I like. I think we might be pulling the Lazy Day.
What if we pull pink and purple together? I think that would work really well.
Yeah. That would be.
Yes. Yeah, that's gorgeous. Yeah. Do so pink here and then purple body, or you can swap and do purple and then pink body. It's really great.
That would be very nice as well.
Yeah.
So, well, you probably need to knit one for you and one for your partner. So yeah. So you go.
I love that. Yeah, that's nice.
That you get matchy, and now you can meet in Paris.
I always recommend to people that they pick the color that they like to be close to their face.
Closer to their face, yeah.
Yeah, so, that'll be really nice. And I really love this color now since I dyed my hair blonde. I feel like this color looks really nice with my blonde hair, but like when I had brown hair, I wouldn't necessarily go towards this color because I feel like it'd be too dark for me.
But it's funny because the color that you have on now, it really, really suits you as well.
This is a color that I love. Actually, I think I have a matching lipstick of this color.
So did you dye the yarn because you like the lipstick and you wanted to have a matching?
I have actually done that before. There's this color called Amy's Flashy Lipstick, which is based on one of my favorite Chanel lipsticks. But this is Lee's, and this was a collaboration color that I did with a French designer. She sent a mood board that was just full of all these raspberry tones.
Oh, wow.
And so that's how we came up with this color, and it's called Lee's.
Wow, that's really nice. Yeah, I love the color. And I love I have to check out the lipstick as well. The next one is Nancy Marchand Canal, right? Yes.
Yes, Canal poncho.
Yeah, so you have the poncho, which is so nice. And it comes with a cowl as well, but let's show the poncho first. This is stunning. I mean, this is... I really have to find my skein of Lazy Days, which is...
Oh, I like the colors that you guys picked. Those are great.
And both colors. I mean, I love the color combination, but also one, you have one that is monotone.
It's actually two-tone. So it's two different grays.
Okay.
So this is Intarsia cables. So this might be the most difficult project in the book. Wow. So we want to show people options. So for the original version, you need to have 3 colors for the front panel.
Okay.
Right. For this one, we only had 1 color for the front panel, and then you have the main color.
Yeah.
But for those who don't want to do the Intarsia, they can just knit it all in 1 color. and it just becomes a cable project.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's really, really nice. But I do like, I mean, when you see those colors popping together, you know, like see the pink with the brick dust, you can see there a lot of the pink, and then you have the purple coming in, and you have another purple.
That's lovely.
It's nice. And then you have a neutral base as well. That is really, really pretty as well. And again, you know, you have to pick and choose your own colors. I think, you know, we all hear suggesting the colors, and you have quite a few suggestions in the book already, and you have some suggestion on our website as well. But anything that you choose is, you know, it really feels like what fits you better. And sometimes it's just a question about mood. You know, there's times where you are in a, you know, green mood, and sometimes it's a blue mood. You know, you really need to, and it changes. Sometimes it changes with the season, and sometimes it just changes with the year going forward. You know, and where you dye your hair, or where your hair becomes gray,
or what lipstick you're wearing that day.
Or the lipstick you're wearing, exactly. So, you know, it's funny how it's nice to go back. You know, I wear a lot of lip gloss and or colored, you know, tinted lip gloss. And how you know, at the beginning when we had to wear the mask, I would just automatically put it on to basically not to go out, just to go very, very, very close by. And then I put the mask on, and I was like, why did I do that? But, you know, that second I could take the mask off, I still felt I was doing something for myself. So even putting it on and having to wash it off and thinking, why did I do that? Now I have the mark on the mask, but it still felt, it felt
good to do something nice for yourself. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of that. So yeah,
it's anything that you do to, you know, pamper yourself a little bit, even if it's just you know, sit down with a beautiful book and a cup of tea like this one.
I love that. I do that too.
The last the last beautiful design is the Asawa scarf, which is incredibly beautiful. This is, I think,
Q Lam is the designer.
Yeah.
She and I collaborated the first time through that pom-pom issue that I guest edited.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
35. She had a really beautiful wrap in there.
Yeah.
And I knew when I collaborated with her that I asked her for something kind of structural in the kind of the same feeling of what she had done in issue 35. And she came up with this motif, which is really incredible. It looks so good on the right side. And here you can see here on the slide at the bottom.
Yeah.
That model is wearing it actually with the wrong side out. Yeah. Here. Yeah. And so it looks so beautiful on both sides.
Yeah, it does.
The motif.
The name Asawa is because it is inspired by Ruth Asawa, I assume.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
She's like an incredible artist. So
we have a YouTube, we did a knit night with her. So if you guys want to hear more about her story and her inspiration from Ruth Asawa, you should watch that episode. She 10Q talks about it in that episode. So yeah. So there's 3 versions of this one. So this one takes 3 skeins of Corey worsted. So I don't know how many that would be. Would that be 6?
It would be 5 of ours. Yes.
And so this one takes 4 skeins. So the medium size one's 4 skeins. And then there's a third size, which is the wrap, which is really big. And it takes 5 skeins of Corey worsted. And we did this one kind of in a fade and just like color block or something, like a little bit. Yeah. It could be really nice.
Yeah, that could be nice. It would be 9 skeins of ours, which is a lot. So I would just stick with a smaller one. I mean,
it would be very, very warm. Very, very warm. Yak is so warm.
Yeah. I love to be honest, I love the smaller version because it's thinner. You know, I love shows, but I don't wear them as often. So I like the rectangular wrap like this one. So this is probably one of my favorite things that you have in the book.
Yeah.
And the smaller version, so that, you know, for us, the 5 skeins or your 3 skeins, I think it's the construction and the fact that you can wear it on both sides. And would you call it like an intermediate or beginners, or what would you say?
I think an adventurous beginner could do this one.
Oh, that's
really
good.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Definitely. I mean, look at this, 3 skeins of yarn, I don't know what this is called. Is this called like the French tuck or something? I don't know. Yeah, there's like some term for this, but look how nice that is.
That's how I wear my scarves. So
Yeah.
Definitely. I think that would be that. And we do, you just mentioned the YouTube channel. I think, the YouTube venture, we both started, to have things on our YouTube channel. So, if people want to watch us, I guess we are actually going to air these on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, well, we're going to air it on yours. We're going to do a premiere. So
yes, we're going to do a premiere of this one, and we are very grateful to be able to do that. So if you are watching us, make sure you subscribe to both channels. We will once it's on YouTube, we will put all the information on the description down below with all of the links for our links and Aimée's links and our YouTube, Instagram. Everything is going to be linked up, so you don't even have to think. You just have to search for the information and subscribe to both channels. I think it means a lot to brand like ourselves to know that you love what we are doing, that you like to you want to see more content, you want to hear from us more. And I think having us grow our business through your support is important, whether you are like smaller or larger, it doesn't matter. And hearing from you as well, having your feedback, every comment, every likes, every share is so it just means a lot. I think it's it's not just the support. And I think one of the things that I love about working with other brands like Aimée is because I feel that as a woman, even if mYak is not just a female owned, it's like my partner is male, Andrea is male, but having the women supporting women in this industry is so
really
very
important.
Yeah,
definitely. So,
yeah.
Well, thank you for having me, Paola. This was amazing. I can't wait to watch it again when we premiere it on YouTube. And so what it means when we premiere, I will be in the chat.
Yeah.
And chatting with you guys.
I try to be there
watch it again. So yeah.
So we will be in the chat. We will, so more people can watch it. You can ask questions. We will be there. And hopefully we brought you some interesting content. I want to thank, Julia and Aimée as well. They are in the background helping us with answering your question and the chat. I think, you always say, it doesn't take a village. It just takes few really smart women to do this job, and I'm really excited that we've been able to do this and collaborate. And I'm looking forward to see the next book. So when will it come out?
Can't say exactly, but it'll be in 2023. So, yeah.
And you're going to come. You think you're going to come to the US in?
I think my next trip to the United States will be for Rhinebeck. So I should be around New York and going to Rhinebeck in October. So yeah.
So we will be there too. So that would be probably, we might see each other before though.
Oh, so, Julia, somebody just asked you how your spinning is going.
I'm replying because I just ordered my first spinning wheel and I'm waiting for it.
Okay, so if you didn't hear, she just ordered her first spinning wheel and it's arriving soon.
Oh wow, that's great.
We're gonna have to do a knit night soon, and I'm gonna have Paola on, so I will invite her to a knit night, and I get to ask her all the questions. So.
And Julia, we have started a new spinning project in Tibet to support a group of Tibetan women. We just started a workshop. It's called the Dokarpo Woolly Lab, where we are been training local women in both spinning and weaving on traditional looms, because the tradition was completely lost. So we try to bring that back through this little project that we have. So it would be interesting maybe one day to be able to, to all have a trip to go back to Tibet whenever it will be possible again, and visit and spin together with the Tibetan ladies. They are learning themselves how to bring back this wonderful tradition.
That's amazing. Oh, well, it's amazing. I'll follow along. That's great.
Yeah, of course. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you all for joining us. And we will see you at the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.